if it is Mike Pence as the VP, it's going to be a shame because according to Meghan McCain, who was on Fox's Outnumbered the other day, the thing that would have been great about Newt would have been that he would have been Trump's conscience.
He said this is a very personal decision for Donald Trump, and it has to be somebody he's comfortable working with for the next 4 to 8 years, if elected.
Here's why I like Newt Gingrich for a lot of different reasons. Number one, he is an architect of modern conservatism for a very long time. He's nothing short of brilliant. And on top of everything else, he will call Donald Trump out on some of his incendiary language, which is something Donald Trump really needs. He needs to understand how establishment Republicans and people more traditional Republicans feel going forward. And I actually think he's the best pick.
He stood up for your father early on in the race.
Also against the Hispanic judge when those comments were made. And I actually think that Newt Gingrich could be a conscience for Donald Trump, which would ease a lot of concerns for people like me. I've been a big fan of Newt Gingrich for a very long time. I love his wife, Callista, and I think he's by far the best choice.
What are you talking about?
She's one of the dumbest people in the history of the planet.
Well, be nice.
No.
We don't know that. We
not.
don't have data on that. But
I have data.
I mean, look, she's sitting on it on the Outnumbered show. So, I mean, that puts her she's probably in the top 10 percentile of the Outnumbered show.
Oh, yeah, I can see that.
Which still could put her in the bottom 15% of the country.
Exactly.
But let's just go over this. He's a traditional Republican. You know, he's not as incendiary. The word Democrat instead of democratic, using that as an adjective, that came out of Newt Gingrich hiring the ethically and follically challenged Frank Luntz. In fact, the modern conservative movement, which culminated in Donald Trump, if there was an architect for it, it would have been Newt Gingrich. He was the one who basically used talk radio as the template for creating the modern conservative movement. As a conscience, you know, this is a guy who left his wife dying with cancer for a woman and then left that woman, I think, for Callista. So,
of course.
At least he found one finally that Meghan McCain likes.
I think when you have, cancer, but I try to wait a little bit until after the surgery recovery time.
But it appears, anyways, that we won't have Newt Gingrich to kick around anymore. So you'll have to catch him on Fox.
One other thing, just really briefly, and people should look this up on our YouTube channel. We did a segment about Fareed Zakaria, who actually did a very, very smart assessment a couple months ago about how Donald Trump is in no way a deviation from Republican norm. And he went over, and we played a clip from it, the Newt Gingrich contrasting words list and things that he put out back in the early 90s and the 80s. He literally phrases like weird, demented, losers, stuff like that. Gingrich, not only did he pioneer the new mechanisms of communicating with people, but he literally the same type of race-baiting, personally destructive language that Trump uses. I mean, there arguably wouldn't be Donald Trump without Newt Gingrich.
I think that's a fair assessment. Hello, you. I'm Sam Seder. Looking for smart progressive talk that is occasionally amusing? Well, subscribe to our YouTube feed. Subscribe to our podcast. Like us on Facebook. And just generally enjoy us.